Have you ever been in a conversation where something just didn't feel right? Maybe you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but your gut was telling you that the person in front of you wasn't being completely honest. What if there were clues, subtle body language signs that could reveal the truth before they even said a word? Welcome to Cognitive Curve, where we explore the hidden power of human behavior. In today's episode, we dive deep into the world of body language and how to spot a lie. Now, let's join the conversation with our hosts.
Okay, but have you ever been in that situation where you're like nodding along, but inside you're like, this doesn't feel right.
Right.
Like you can't quite put your finger on it, but that something's telling you this person might be stretching the truth just a tad.
Yeah.
So today, get ready, because we're diving deep into the world of body language.
Ooh.
We're going to be like those detectives in the movies, spot the little tells of sneaky signs.
Right.
That could give away someone's true thoughts, even if their words are saying something totally different.
Exactly. It's like you don't need to be a human lie detector to pick up on those subtle cues.
Right. It's fascinating how much we communicate without even saying a word, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It's like our bodies have a language of their own. And getting a handle on that, that's what today's deep dive's all about.
Oh, and speaking of giveaways, the research we dug up for this deep dive, well, let's just say some of it's pretty surprising. Did you know even our feet can be little fibbers?
It's true.
Yeah.
Feet, they don't lie. But before we get to those telltale toes, why don't we start with the face? The classic communication hub. And what better place to begin than with a smile?
Ooh, the smile. A universal symbol of happiness, right? But I was reading about something called a Duchenne smile, and now I'm questioning everything. Is there like a real smile versus a fake smile?
You bet there is. You see, a genuine smile, a Duchenne smile, it engages your whole face, especially the eyes. Think about those crinkles at the corners, the crow's feet, the ones people try to erase. Those are actually a sign of true happiness. Without them, even the biggest grin can feel, a little off.
Oh, right. Like when someone's forcing a smile for a photo, but their eyes are completely blank.
Exactly. That's that disconnect we're talking about. It's like, imagine you're at work, someone's pitching you this new project, and you're not really feeling it.
Right.
They're going on and on about how amazing it is, but their eyes, they're cold, like ice. Total red flag.
Okay, so the eyes really are the window to the soul, or at least to someone's true feelings about our amazing project ideas. But you mentioned feet earlier, and you kind of piqued my curiosity. What's the deal with feet and fibbing?
Well, think about it this way. When we're uncomfortable, maybe we're stretching the truth a little, our feet, they often subconsciously point toward where we'd rather be.
The escape route.
You got it.
So if I'm trying to, say, convince my boss to give me Friday off, and I see those toes starting to point towards the door,
Chuckles.
maybe not a good sign.
It might be time to wrap it up. It's not foolproof, of course. Maybe they just remembered they left the coffee brewing.
Yeah.
But it highlights how our body language can betray our true feelings, even when we're trying our best to mask them with words.
It's like our bodies have a mind of their own.
Sometimes they do. They really do.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got shifty eyes, runaway feet. What a combo, right?
Right.
But what about our hands? I mean, I'm a notorious fidgeter. Does that mean I'm constantly broadcasting to the world, hey, I'm lying?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it's not always about the action itself, but what it means for that specific person.
Okay, that makes sense.
We all have our own quirks and habits.
Right.
But the key here is to look for deviations from the norm. Like if someone who's usually calm and collected suddenly turns into a hand puppet enthusiast mid-conversation.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone's over there touching their face, fiddling with their jewelry, rubbing their neck while they're talking to me, I mean, red flag.
Could be. Those are all classic self-soothing behaviors. Things we do without even realizing it when we're feeling a little stressed, maybe a tad uncomfortable.
And telling a lie, even a little white lie, that can definitely cause some stress, right?
Absolutely. It's like our bodies, they kind of have a way of betraying our carefully crafted words.
Yeah, it's like that Pinocchio effect.
Exactly. But, it's interesting. Sometimes people, they go in the opposite direction when they're trying to fib. Instead of all that fidgeting, they clam up, get all stiff and, robotic, like they're trying to disappear into the wallpaper.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that. So it's like they're overcompensating.
Exactly. They're so busy trying to control every little movement, every blink, that they end up looking, unnatural.
So it's like too much movement, not enough movement. Either way, it could mean trouble in truth-telling paradise,
Yeah,
right?
the key is to, like we were saying, look for what's unusual for that specific person. That's where the real insights lie. But, we've covered faces, feet, hands.
It's like a whole body experience, this lying business.
It really is. But what about the way people talk when they're trying to pull one over on us?
Oh, yeah, speech patterns. Okay, I've totally noticed that, like, when you ask someone a tricky question and they get that deer in the headlights look, and then there's this long, awkward
Oh,
silence.
absolutely. Constructing a believable lie, it takes effort, more effort than just telling the truth.
Hmm.
And all that mental gymnastics, it can really show up in our speech patterns.
Okay, so you're saying, like, those pauses, the ums, the ahs, those could be signs that someone's brain is working overtime.
Exactly. Or think about a time when someone just wouldn't stop talking, way too much information.
Oh, yeah, like they're trying to bury the truth under a mountain of words.
Exactly. They're over-explaining, adding all these irrelevant details, maybe even contradicting themselves. It's like they're trying to convince themselves as much as you.
So it's like they're building a word fortress around this tiny little lie, hoping no one will notice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the pauses, the rambling, anything else about how people talk that can tip us off?
Well, have you ever noticed how, like, when someone gets nervous, their voice changes?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like it gets all high-pitched or they start talking super fast.
Right. That's because our voices, they're super sensitive to stress. And, lying, even if you're good at it, it's stressful. So that can manifest in our tone.
So if someone's voice suddenly goes up an octave when I ask about, say, the missing cookies dot busted.
It's possible. Pay attention to those shifts. Does their voice get strained, shaky? Those can be signs of deception.
This is fascinating, but I gotta be honest, it's also a lot to keep track of. Am I really supposed to be, like, mentally checking off a list of body language cues every time I have a conversation?
Well, you definitely don't want to be a human lie detector 24/7.
Right, that'd be exhausting.
Exactly. Plus, sometimes the most powerful tool we have is actually something we often overlook.
And that is...
Our gut feeling, that intuition.
Oh, you mean that feeling that something's off, even if you can't quite put your finger on it?
Exactly. Our subconscious, it's amazingly perceptive. It picks up on those tiny inconsistencies, sometimes even before we consciously realize it.
So, like, our internal alarm system is going off, even if we don't know why yet?
Exactly. And often those gut feelings are worth paying attention to.
Okay, that's actually a relief to hear, because
Yeah.
I was starting to feel like I needed a notepad and pen every time I left the house.
Right. No, the point here isn't to make you paranoid. It's about becoming a more, shall we say, conscious communicator. It's about realizing that communication, it's a two-way street with verbal and nonverbal cues flying all over the place.
So it's not just about what someone's saying, but how they're saying it and what their body's doing at the same time.
Now you're getting it. It's about spotting those moments where the words and the body language tell two totally different stories.
This has been eye-opening. I feel like I'm seeing people differently already. And honestly, I'm even thinking about my own communication style. Like, what kind of signals am I sending?
Right. It's not just about spotting deception in others. It's also about self-awareness, making sure our own body language is aligned with the message we want to send.
Okay, so next time I give a presentation, I should probably practice in front of a mirror, just to make sure my face isn't betraying my carefully crafted words.
There you go. A little self-awareness goes a long way.
I've learned so much today. Definitely going to be paying more attention to my conversations from now on.
It's all about being present, aware, and, a little bit curious about those nonverbal cues.
So any final words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up our deep dive into deception detection?
Just this. Pay attention to the words, to the body language, and most importantly, to your gut. You might be surprised at what you discover.
Truer words have never been spoken, and listeners, we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced those telltale signs, those gut feelings that something wasn't quite right? Share your stories with us. We might even feature them in a future episode. Until then, stay curious, stay perceptive, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.
That's all for today's deep dive into the world of deception and body language. We hope you found this episode insightful and that you're now more equipped to notice the subtle cues around you. Remember, it's not just about spotting lies, but about becoming more self-aware in your own communication. Don't forget to subscribe to Cognitive Curves for more fascinating insights into the human mind. Until next time, stay curious and keep your communication sharp.